the main event of the evening.
See, that's the thing about Rick Ross. That's the thing about the boss. The metaverse, crypto. Y'all getting so much money. Where you at? Where you at? Show us. And I don't mean, oh, I'm trying to be money, man. I got a lot of money. I ain't mean that fake. Show us, show my homies what the metaverse about. One of y'all big boy crypto dudes, guru crypto picture takers. Up and say, this what we gon' do, Jose. Where you at? Huh? Yeah, everybody giggling, looking around. All that fake rich money, where it's at? Educate.
Well, don't bring a leader in and have them not lead. Why would I argue with people who are getting paid by the guy? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna argue with people that are broker than me about money.
So what's going on, S Dizzle?
What's the deal with
us?
y'all, man? How y'all doing, man? Good to talk to y'all, man.
End us on the bang. Hit us on the bang. What you got for us?
Man, look, check this out. Don't sleep, right? Stay awake. If you're watching these two gentlemen right here, you in the right place to be. I started watching these dudes back in March of 2021. And the shit that I was able to learn from these dudes is priceless, man. Don't sleep. Do not sleep. Don't believe any of that mainstream bullshit. Do your own research at all times. You feel me? But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Just wanted to salute, give y'all some love, man.
I appreciate it. Really quick, what are you looking for next year in the space?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to motherfuckers leaving. Leave.
There we go.
Because y'all don't understand the technology. Get the fuck out. Stop talking about, oh, it's bad. We can't trust it. You don't know nothing about it. Leave, learn it, come back so then I can stack my bags up and sell you this 100K Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying?
There we go. Hey, now that's the way to take us out. Hey, appreciate it, S Dizzle. Much appreciated. Hey, Happy New Year's to all the warriors. Bitcoin say Happy New Year to you and yours. I'm going to see you soon, too.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Hey,
And now, it's time!
Yo, it's time. It's crypto and down. Asherelle here with Jams Jetson, fresh off a Tuesday work day, fresh off a new UFC welterweight championship weekend, fresh off a Sweet 16 for the University of Texas, the first time or second time, I think, in 15 years. Crypto and down on the Gentleman the Crypto Show. What's good, Jams?
Yo. Shout out to all the crypto rascals out there. Shout out to the crypto warriors. This is Crypto and Down, episode 134 over on the Crypto and Down channel, episode 25 on the Gentleman of Crypto channel. Thank you, King Bless. Thank you, Bitcoin Zay, for the opportunity to come stream live to the Gentleman of Crypto and the crypto warriors out there. This is Turban Tuesday. Always remember to protect your crown. We're going to talk a little bit of crypto today, work our way down the proverbial wormhole. Lots of news to talk about. If this is your first time tuning in, always remember to please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us all over the social media channels. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Crypto and Down. That's Asherelle. I'm Jams Jetson. Shout out to those in the comment section. What up, our brother Crypto Nate, Nate J. My man's waving the Hex, Hedron, and Icosa flags proudly. We'll talk a little bit of Hex today. Shout out to Landon DePaul. He says, yo, really excited to talk some crypto and work our way down. Asherelle, it's been a month since we've streamed. Lots of things have happened. How are you doing, my brother? How's the family?
Yo, the fam's doing good. Staying busy, It's picking up speed with summer or spring. Spring, I should say, approaching. I think spring was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. That was the first day of spring. But yeah, man, it's getting crazy. Things are picking up over here. Just trying to make sure I got everything ready for the new baby coming. So, yeah.
Hey man, Asherelle just dropped a secret out for the people out there, the Warriors and the Rascals. Congratulations to Asherelle and Sunflower in Texas on the new blessing, the new baby. The Crypto Rascals are growing exponentially. Very, very excited to meet my new niece slash nephew. We'll find out soon, but much love to you and Sunflower in Texas. We wish you all the best. Really, really excited. It's been an exciting couple of weeks for you all, but this year is your year, man. So whenever you're ready to take it away, Daddy Ray, we'll jump into it, brother.
Hey, yeah, for sure. I mean, I gotta figure out my way around these tools. But you know what it is. We'll check up some prices, analytics, and then we'll get into some top stories. Lots been going on.
Let's get it.
All right, you know what it is. It is top cryptocurrencies by market cap from nomics.com, where we check out the top 10 cryptocurrencies, also look at the top gainers of the day, and just kind of just see what's going on. It's been a while since we've done this, so price predictions currently unavailable, but let's look at the top gainers. What we got, Jams?
All right. Top gainer for Tuesday, March 21st. In the year of our Lord, 2023. We have XRP in the top spot, up a whopping 20% on the day. Number 2, Cardano, up almost 9%. Number 3, when I looked at it earlier, was Hex. Let's see if it's still there. And nope, Stellar has bypassed Hex, up 7.9%. Algorand, up 5.46%. Global market cap, back above the $1 trillion mark, at $1.19 trillion, up just shy of 2% on the day. Global volume sitting at $73 billion, down 7% on a Tuesday. But let's talk about Bitcoin. Wow, has Bitcoin had a nice bounce over the last 30 to 60 days, sitting above $28,000 healthily, coming in at $28,318, up 8% today. But the global market cap is back above that $500 billion, sitting at $547 billion. Let's look at the last 30 days for Bitcoin so we can give you some percentages there. Bitcoin over the last 30 days up 13.8%, almost $3,451 gained per Bitcoin. So a nice reaction over the last several weeks for Bitcoin due to the contagion caused by the modern banking crisis. Number 2, Ethereum trading at $1,812.72, up 6.37% over the last 30 days, up 2% on the day. If you look at the market cap, we want to see Ethereum start to eat into the market cap of Bitcoin, but that actually has not occurred. Bitcoin has started to pull away from Ethereum in 2023. So will the staking unlock ultimately happen for Ethereum? I think when that happens, maybe that's a buy, sell the news situation, but only time will tell. It's nice to see crypto coming back alive in this current economic situation that we find ourselves in. Tether trading at $78 billion worth of USDT in the market. With the collapse of USDC over the last few weeks, much of that has flooded into Tether. So we were talking about stablecoin wars a few months back. I will publicly admit that I was absolutely wrong about the USDC being the winner of the stablecoin games. Ultimately, they needed Circle to back them and step in and save their depegged coin. So be careful when choosing your stablecoins.
Well, I'm gonna jump in there And it's like, I don't think you were totally off, but the part where it's like the underlying part is like Tether, USDC is denominated in tethers. So it's like it needs to be paired to something, and Tether is it, since it was like the first one. But the when it dropped in price from $1, I guess you could say depegged, that necessarily didn't mean it necessarily wasn't a bad thing. There was a money making opportunity for example, like Coinbase, if they were able to get a lot of USDC by the time, if they were going to say take that and redeem that USDC to Circle, and they bought that USDC from other people at a discount, say 94 cents on the dollar, 97 cents on the dollar, they would have actually made a profit there. So I think where there was an opportunity for some people to make some profit if they were able to switch and scoop up some USDC for cents on the dollar, say like 94 cents, 96 cents, if they were able to redeem. So once it repegged in the market wise, I guess it was a little bit different from it depegging versus actual being redeemed. And the redeeming places would be Coinbase, and I'm sure some of these other banks that went under, but not all losers here. And like USDC still seems to be functioning well so far. But I think the key part maybe you may have missed was thinking about this earlier from what I saw people talking about, was like, oh yeah, USDC is still denominated in tethers, and while USDC dropped, Tether didn't drop and still maintained its $1 peg. But that doesn't necessarily mean USDC is going to go anywhere anytime soon, potentially.
Okay, I can agree with you there. There definitely was a arbitrage opportunity in USDC, also in DAI, one of the other stable coins that depegged last week. And that arbitrage opportunity did present itself and give crypto investors the opportunity to gain additional cents on their dollar. But the stablecoin wars will continue over the next few months, over the next few years. We know that the CBDCs are coming. We got Ron DeSantis saying in Florida that he's proposing a bill to outlaw CBDCs in Florida. And we will see what happens. Even look at BUSD, the Binance stablecoin that has also went through turmoil over the last few weeks. Let's continue down our top 10. Number 4 today, BNB trading at $337 per coin, down 0.75%. I would advise crypto investors, although nothing we say is crypto or financial advice, just two brothers saying things publicly that we otherwise would say privately, to be careful in the Binance ecosystem. It seems that there is a intended target on CZ and Binance by the federal entities and the various departments and agencies. And with that having been said, understanding the collapse of FTX, understanding the collapse of Voyager, exchanges are going to be in the target sites, and Binance is a great place for regulators to continue to seek their teeth and fangs into. So be careful with Binance would be my caution tale. 5, USDC, $35 billion. If you remember a few months back, there was a market cap of $52 billion. So lots of USDC has been redeemed over the last few weeks and months in 2023. XRP, trading at 46 cents today, up 20%. I did see some legal documents going around on Twitter in regards to their case with the SEC, but I did not actually read them thoroughly. So I'm not going to speak on it, but I will make the assumption that the price action is related to those legal documents. So for the crypto warriors and rascals out there, just jump on Twitter, look up the XRP army. You'll likely see those legal documents that I'm referring to. Our favorite coin here at Crypto and Down in the number 7 spot is Hex, trading just under 10 cents, up 6.67%. So shout out to all those crypto warriors out there that give me shit about Hex. If you would have bought that bottom around the end of December, when we were trading around 1.5 to 2 cents, 3 cents, yeah, you would be up almost 400% in 2023. Past 30 days, Hex is up 47%. Past 7 days, up 23%. Lots of chatter on Twitter from Richard Hart about Pulse Chain and Pulse X development. We'll read through some of those tweets later in the show. But yes, Pulse Chain is coming. Yes, testnet version 3 is rapidly moving towards the public testnet. And strap in. We are here on Crypto and Down, talking about the news. Hex is a part of that. Pulse Chain is a part of that. And although Richard Hart may have pivoted his messaging, moving from outrage marketing into a more humble message, it does not change the technology. It does not change the developers. It does not change the GitLab code. So look at the numbers. Look at what makes sense. Don't worry about the glitz and glam. And guess what? Hex has treated us nicely in 2023. Number 8, Cardano trading at 37 cents, up 7.8%. Number 9, Dogecoin. Damn, Dogecoin, can you please get off that 6-7 cent range? Just feels like it sits there forever, up 4.3% on the day. Polygon, Matic, rounding out our top 10, trading at $1.15. Up 1.87%, and Solana trading at $22. Remember when Solana was $200 per coin? That had Sam Bankman-Fried written all over it. Shout out to the FTX scammers who have been absolutely vilified over the last 6 months, as many of the crypto true Ponzi schemes have unfolded, all the way from Dogecoin and Terra Luna to Mike Mashinsky and Celsius over to Bald and Darshan. Many of these full market projects, platforms have ultimately collapsed. And now we are starting to see the cream of the crop rise to the top. Any input you want to add here, Asherell?
I'd like to do just kind of see what it looks like by volume versus market cap. Looking here, we see Tether, Bitcoin, Binance, stablecoin, sitting at 1, 2, and 3 in total volume. Tether at 36 billion, Bitcoin at 24.5 billion, Binance at 6.16 billion. Interesting. Kind of look at it's interesting just to look at the volume. Usually the top two are, I would say, Tether and Bitcoin, going back and forth between those two. And then some of these are interesting if you look at the XRP here, down here in the, I would say, 6th spot, USDC 7th spot, and then Phantom, interesting, up, has some volume. But XRP would be the last coin that is sitting above $1 billion in total volume for the day.
Absolutely. I think it's important for our warriors and rascals to understand that volume can be manipulated, but it is something that you need to be aware of and have on your radar so you can understand how money is moving, where it's moving, and on which chains that action is occurring. We have lots of news to get into today, so I don't want to go too in depth on some of these coins, as that was still the thunder from some of the articles. But one thing I do want to say before we move into our top news story of the day is I am glad to see the overall strength that we have seen in the crypto market, specifically as banks, Silvergate Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, Credit Suisse Bank have ultimately collapsed due to a lack of liquidity. Liquidity problems is the name of the game right now, and they are selling assets for a loss. And this is causing lots of fear and concern throughout the traditional markets. Investors are fleeing into safer assets. Gold has held strong over the last few weeks. And what do you know? Bitcoin has seen a significant increase. And then you have even some government entities positioning themselves to stand up and support Bitcoin because of the strength that it has shown while traditional markets have floundered. So, good wrap up on the markets as a whole. As we've said earlier, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't on both channels. And Asherelle, whenever you're ready to take it away into our top stories of the day, let's get it.
Yeah, first I want to take a look at inflation by Trueflation.
Yep.
I would say, yeah, I agree with you. The crypto prices have pumped so far, and we're not. I think the crisis is probably just beginning as far as you talk about the liquidity crunch. So I want to see, combined with the deflation on the other side of inflation that we saw last year, with inflation coming down, how that's going to balance with a lot of these cryptocurrencies and how they continue to play out when there is like an actual true, not just for a few banks liquidity crunch, but for Americans tracking just spending and things like that. It's interesting to see prices and inflation is going down, but at the same time, jobless claims are going up as well. So looks like they did a little bit of some user experience optimization design here. But the cool thing about Trueflation, y'all, is you can definitely take a look at their statistics and get a sense of the different categories they track to get a sense of where is inflation ranking overall. They have it at 4.04%, sitting at year over year. A year-to-date low, a year-to-date high was around 6.28%. But the cool thing is you can click into different categories from housing, food and beverages, to, let's say, transport, and see where they rank that overall inflation as well. So I think it was interesting. We've been tracking this for a while to see it. It's kind of, I think, sitting at the lowest point since we started looking at this, and we can see looks like the Federal Reserve and what's happening are getting what they want with inflation dropping.
I couldn't agree more. We've been tracking this metric for many months now, and inflation is sitting at its lowest reported mark. You mentioned the jobless claims with layoffs occurring across the board. We saw a wave of 10,000 layoffs announced last week at some of the nation's largest corporations. So our economy outside of the crypto bubble is not very healthy. However, the Federal Reserve has achieved inflation below 5%. Will they get to the 2 or 3% inflation mark? Who's to know? But hey, crypto investors are a bit giddy in 2023, and we are back here on Crypto and Down to spread the good news.
All right, let's hit some of these top stories. Let's start off here in Texas. You sent me this. Texas takes a stand for Bitcoin rights with introduction of new bill. This is from Watch.Guru from Vignesh Karunanidhi. Hope I said that right. Texas has always been at the forefront in terms of blockchain and Bitcoin adoption, even though many other states and countries have shown skepticism revolving around the cryptocurrencies. This says Texas has never failed to show its support. Interesting. The state has also been the hub for several Bitcoin mining companies. Texas is promoting, advancing, and providing a platform for Bitcoin and considers it to be a cutting-edge innovation. Texas also released a report laying out a proposal to allow Bitcoin as an authorized investment for the state. What do you think? Oh, hold up. Make sure I'm not missing everything. So far, the bill talks about how Bitcoin has introduced several technological breakthroughs, including blockchain and distributed ledger. The bill also stated how secure Bitcoin is. I'm sure the crypto warriors, they know that already. So according to the latest details from the bill, the 88th legislature of the state of Texas now supports individuals who code or develop on Bitcoin network in accordance with Section 8, Article 1 of the Texas Constitution. The bill also talks about the freedom for BTC miners to seek out any form of energy for securing the Bitcoin network. The new bill also states that no citizens will ever be deprived of their right to own Bitcoin and speaks about their protection. The bill also reaffirmed the safety of owning and dealing with Bitcoin in the states. And for the record, my position here is you cannot own Bitcoin. Even I saw Richard Hart was tweeting something like that. You can't even own cryptocurrency. Join the bandwagon over here. But what are your thoughts so far, James?
So I actually think this is one of the most important resolutions to come out of the Texas legislature in some time. Obviously, Texas, a red state, a Republican-led, pro-business, industry-driven, with a exorbitant excess amount of energy, has positioned itself to be a leader not only in America for Bitcoin, but also across the world, attracting Chinese miners, having various publicly traded companies inside the state itself. Now we actually have it in black and white for us to read that the 88th legislature of Texas supports individuals who code or develop on the Bitcoin network in accordance with the Texas Constitution. But I think there is a even deeper importance here. The bill also talks about the freedom for Bitcoin miners to seek out any form of energy for securing the Bitcoin network. That's referring to the flared natural gas that was previously being wasted. All natural gas that we capture here in the state of Texas is not actually utilized for the grid. It's not actually utilized for production. We have to burn or flare some of that actual gas because we can't capture and utilize it all. What they are saying is Bitcoin miners can now recapture some of that flared natural gas to secure the Bitcoin network, and that will be backed by the state of Texas. The opposite of what you've seen happen in Russia and China. But it goes a step further. The bill also states that no citizen will ever be deprived of their right to own Bitcoin and speaks about their protection. The bill reaffirms the safety of owning and dealing with Bitcoin in the state. Texas citizens shall always feel free and safe in their ownership and use of Bitcoin in the state of Texas. I want to actually take a look at the resolution HCR number 89 by Harris of Anderson, so that the crypto rascals and warriors out there can actually see the text itself, because there are a few paragraphs that really I want to call out. One is the paragraph on China. Whereas the Chinese government banned both the trading and mining of cryptocurrency in 2021, and this decision represents an authoritarian form of rule that is in complete opposition to the values of the United States, many Bitcoiners left China to continue their work in other countries, known as the Great Mining Migration. This event benefited Texas both as a state and as one of the largest economies in the world. However, other states and countries such as New York and parts of Europe have considered banning or temporarily suspending Bitcoin activities. None of this is new to the crypto warriors or rascals out there. But let it be resolved that individuals who mine Bitcoin in Texas will never be inhibited by any law or resolution that restricts the practice of securing the Bitcoin network for the safety of the virtual currency, which is held and transferred peer-to-peer, and be it further resolved. So let that be stated in the resolution in black and white that we are allowed to peer-to-peer trade within the state of Texas, and no law shall be made to actually infringe upon that right. The people shall be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and possessions from all unreasonable seizures or searches. This right shall also extend to digital possessions such as cryptocurrencies. So they define Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies within this resolution. So to overlook this move by the state of Texas is very, very short-sighted, and I will summarize it with the last paragraph. Resolved that those in the United States and the broader global network who work on Bitcoin coding, programming, and mining shall know by this resolution that the Bitcoin economy is welcome in Texas, and that the Texas legislature shall always seek to protect the rights of its citizens under the law and foster the growth and development of local businesses. In addition, all those in the broader community who choose to own Bitcoin as a manner of storing their wealth and transacting peer-to-peer with other law-abiding Texas citizens shall always feel free and safe in their ownership and use of Bitcoin in the state of Texas. That is fucking huge. Huge. One of the most important things that I have heard come out of the Texas legislature in I don't know when. That's important. Not many people are reporting on it, but here at Crypto and Down, we are showing you the resolution itself from the legislature here in Texas, and your Bitcoin rights are protected, and you have the right to trade peer-to-peer as Satoshi Nakamoto intended. Hey, don't bring your ass to Texas now. It's too late.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Go ahead.
I think this is just another step in letting the government muddy the waters about what cryptocurrency is. If just because it's like, maybe this sounds a little hard, but this is what I just thought of. It's like them saying, "Oh, you're allowed to breathe," kind of. You're allowed to do math. It's kind of one of those like. I get where they're coming from trying to do it, but the two things I have in here, I want to pull up, since we're gonna hit some Richard Hart tweets anyway, but he's not the first person to say this. Shout out to Cyprian who said this. But one of the things I like, and what I picked up a couple years ago when I first started getting into crypto, was like, you can't actually own cryptocurrency. You can just think you're the only one that knows the key. This truth invalidates many laws and regulations. What if few people know a key? What if a random number generator was weak and made a predictable keys? Happened in Bitcoin, he says. So I think based off of the way Bitcoin, and we can go down this thread, but I'm just saying this is just another step of giving government like a way to set laws and regulations around something that is fundamentally upending the entire system. So it's like, yeah, they can say you have the right to own Bitcoin and transact peer to peer, but it's like, you don't have the right to tell me yes or no I can do this or not, because one, if I think the summation of you can't necessarily own cryptocurrency, that's why it's so impactful and so innovative, because it upends the entire legal structure, the entire social structure, everything we've been dealing with for the past, who knows, thousands of years, and upends how people would think about even property law. Specifically thinking about Bitcoin and the way it operates, the way the network operates peer-to-peer, what it allows you to do, sending out the way the transactions are set up, the way you can split and send payments out to multiple parties at once. All these things factor into, plus the fact that you can't own a number factors into what makes cryptocurrency so innovative, so groundbreaking, and so changing at a fundamental core of society and how we interact as humans. So my pushback on this is, I get where people who are coming from, who have that mindset of, yes, you can own cryptocurrency or not, but I do feel like in the end, it is because if they can say you can do it, they can also come around and say you can't do it, if you kind of look at it like from that. So I do think lines are being drawn in the sand where Texas is probably the better place to be if you're going to be using Bitcoin, mining Bitcoin, whether you're in New York, where they're going to come after you and try to, put you out of business. But in the end, I think it is also a little bit short-sighted, and I can't blame the legislatures for passing this, because I would blame the people who are closest to cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, who have run with the narrative of you can actually own cryptocurrency, because they're the ones who set the tone of how the legislatures are going to interact. That's just a kind of rant here that I'm going on, but I think it's just the opposite side of this is good in a way, yes, but also too, I think, you know, it validated just because unnecessary laws and regulations, because you cannot own cryptocurrency, and it may take a while for us to kind of realize that and go back and change these laws, even if they're supposedly in our favor at the time they were passed.
I think those are very valid points, and I see it slightly differently, and I'll explain how in just a moment. Just want to give a shout out to the comment section. S1 Dub says they don't have the power to force people to own or not own crypto. This news, however, is on the more positive side of the equation, and he says, great point to you about the government granting common rights. And then the metaverse president says, I always think about that. The seed phrase is referring to Richard's tweet. But I see it slightly different. And let me kind of put this into context of why. When we think about the Bill of Rights, or we think about the what is written when we say in the Constitution, it's that the government will not infringe upon your right to, let's say, bear arms, or your right to freedom of speech, or your right to freedom of press, us to sit here on Crypto and Down and talk publicly without fear of oppression. Those are guardrails. I think of those as bumpers on a bowling alley. It's not saying that you have the right to actually carry this crypto. It's saying the government does not have the right to infringe upon your common right or inalienable right to transact peer-to-peer. So I'm not seeing this as the government granting me something, but the government actually putting in a guardrail or barrier, preventing me from expressing something that is a common inalienable right. So I agree with you wholeheartedly that no, the government can't permit me to do something that I am already allowed to do. However, I do need them to state formally that they do not have the right to prevent me from doing what I am already allowed to do. So that's the only slight difference in perspective where I see it, versus having to have someone give me the ability to do something which I'm already allowed to do and going to.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the fact that Texas would be the one state to do that, it's like, at the end of the day, it's why I think it's like, why do we look at God? Because it's like, so government's not God. Their government has to answer to a higher authority as a common man, which would be that higher power, So it's like, by them saying we cannot infringe upon these inalienable rights, that's them tacitly admitting that they are below the overall structure that the common man answers to as well. So it's like government's not the final say on these things. So yeah, that's a good point there.
Overall, a good resolution. And S1 Dub says he just got here. Welcome, brother. We've only been going about 40 minutes. We'll probably go another 30, 45 minutes. So kick back, relax, man. He says, did you guys cover Ted Cruz introducing a bill to ban the Fed from creating CBDCs? No, we have not covered that, but we are going to cover Ron DeSantis introducing a bill in Florida preventing CBDCs from being legal currency or being allowed to be spent within the state of Florida. So that's our next story. We can go ahead and jump into it now, brother.
Yeah, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis introduces state's legislation banning CBDCs. DeSantis said CBDCs are all about surveilling and controlling the populace. Well, he looks like a not the best fellow of him that they pulled up here. And who's this article by? Andre Begonsky. I'll keep my comments to myself about Gonski. So he proposed legislation on Monday that would ban central bank digital currencies from the Sunshine State, portraying it as a measure to safeguard Florida's financial privacy. The legislation would prohibit in Florida any CBDC that the U.S. Federal Reserve could introduce and any created by a foreign government, outlawing the technology entirely from being used as a form of money within the state. So he introduced legislation from behind the podium with the phrase "Big Brother's digital dollar" plastered across it. He skewered the technology as a vehicle that could lead to government overreach and pave the way for financial surveillance. Interesting. In interviews with Decrypt, Shapeshift founder Eric Voorhees has called CBDCs Orwellian, and whistleblower Edward Snowden has called them crypto-fascist currencies. CBDCs are similar to stablecoins in that they are pegged to the price of a foreign currency, like a sovereign currency. Wow, like the U.S. dollar. But CBDCs are issued and maintained by a nation state or central bank instead of minted by private companies on decentralized networks like Tether USDTs or Circle's USDCs. The two largest stablecoins by market cap. And yeah, we talked about the Fed has explored the idea of a CBDC since 2016. If you can go check out Project Hamilton, the Boston Federal Reserve has researched that. And I think even the European CBDC has forked the project that they researched, Project Hamilton, of how they set up a CBDC. He also continues to say, though the Fed has said it's still in the early stages of researching a CBDC and hasn't determined whether launching one would be worth it. The idea that a digital dollar is a threat to civil liberties has gained traction in Republican circles. It launched its own CBDC, the digital yuan, last year, which supporters of a US CBDC have referenced to suggest the US risks falling behind on the technology, while critics have said it simply illustrates China's continued capital controls.
The US versus China fight gets deeper, but when we are restricting it truly to the United States, I think it's important that we look through it through our own political lens and understanding that we are truly in a two-party system, Republicans and Democrats, and ultimately the Republicans stand more right than wrong on this subject specifically. And the fear of financial surveillance or the expansion of government control is a real fear when you bring it into the concept of CBDCs. Republican House Majority Whip Tom Emmer, one of the most outspoken crypto advocates, is quoted saying, "Any digital version of the dollar must uphold our American values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Anything less opens the door to the development of a dangerous surveillance tool." I think it's important that we understand that there are real resolutions both being passed in the state legislature of Texas, but also in our national Congress, that this hasn't been passed, but this is a resolution proposed to amend the Federal Reserve Act to prevent the Federal Reserve banks from offering certain products or services directly to an individual, to prohibit the use of central bank digital currency for monetary policy and for other purposes, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled. So this act may be cited as the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act. So to the warriors out there, to the rascals out there, if you feel strongly about being against CBDCs, having the right to your own financial privacy, and prohibiting the Federal Reserve from spying upon you as an individual and a common man, then maybe you could reach out to your congressman and your senator and speak to the importance of the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act that has been proposed by the GOP Majority Whip out of Minnesota, Mr. Tom Emmer. I think it's important that we as crypto investors not only look at markets, not only look at technical analysis, but understand the political landscape that we find ourselves in, because there are potential resolutions and bills and acts that are very important to us, that we need to be outspoken, not only within our own groups, within our own channels, but also in the actual halls, on the phones, in person, in the letters, because CBDCs are coming, whether we like it or not. And Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is just one of many starting to push back. Ted Cruz was mentioned in the comment section. We just read you some of the text from Tom Emmer and the Anti-Surveillance Act. But this is the fight that's currently happening in 2023 as we gear up for the 2024 presidential elections. And you have to understand that cryptocurrency is going to be a linchpin issue that people are going to utilize. And if you are on the wrong side of that argument, then you are going to lose a cross-party subset of American citizens who are advocating for their own privacy as private citizens within the United States. So let the fight.
Yeah. I don't, not to be pets. It's like, yeah, I think it's coming whether we want it or not. And I guess it would be decided by Congress. So they say this has to be legal tender. We can't separate a CBDC coming in would probably be coming in a financial crisis, a liquidity crunch, or run on the banks. Any of those things would probably just speed up the CBDC coming in. So it's kind of like the Fed says, yeah, we've researched it, but we're not there yet. But at the same time, I think the way the system is set up now, if we talk about, when we learn about fractional reserve banking and all these central banks and what they're doing, it's not necessarily that all these central banks between the US and Europe are aligned on what they want to do, and they may be at war right now over like who gets to control the dollar. And by the Fed doing what they need to do, they may be trying to take away control from other central banks over the US dollar, but that may have unintended consequences for a lot of smaller commercial banks here. And I did see something floating around about them trying to insure all deposits at banks, which, they do pick winners and losers. And I think they said this, but it's like the CBDC may not necessarily be forced upon us. We may just have to ask for the CBDC because we want bailouts and want our money to be insured at the bank. And they're like, all right, well, if you want all your money to be insured and not to lose your money more than $250,000, then here you go.
Yeah, man.
And we're going to be like, okay.
That was one of the kind of points in the article, was they're going to have us all begging at the soup kitchen. But I saw a great comment just a few moments ago from Gary Chizo Chisholm. He says, allowing CBDCs is like welcoming the fox into the hen house. I could not agree more. Token Data says we got to stop following rules and revolt like the men of old. And then S1 Dub says, I don't know if Ted Cruz has enough support to pass his bill to ban the Fed from creating CBDCs. Would be pleasantly surprised if it passes. Well, Ted Cruz, being a senator, is on one side of the House, is on one side of Congress, but then you also have Tom Emmer, who is the majority whip in a Republican majority-controlled House that probably could get it passed. But then, we got problems in the Senate, and then, of course, old Biden, Jim Crow Joe, gonna hit us with the old veto. So if we did try to put restrictions on the Federal Reserve, the Democrats gonna come in and say, hell no, that's our actual, so it's kind of bogus, man.
I was thinking like the CBDCs, it may take a while for it to materialize in the US, and it's like we still are, the US is socialist, communist still, but not totally yet, where they want to allow competition. So the big commercial banks will let y'all have your stable coins, and then it'll all kind of swoop up under one major one, and over time, it may be where just through the ease of use, we start to use one more than the other per se. But I do think there will be it's like these things. I think as people being hesitant about the CBDC and the awareness being raised by developers, politicians, influencers in the space talking about the dangers of it, that may delay it from just swooping down in on us versus some other countries who are going through financial crises. Our financial crises may come a little bit later this decade, or it may come a couple years from now, but it may be delayed just because we're willing to allow a little bit more competition. It's kind of like the idea of maybe we think we're utilizing different stable coins, whether it's a Wells Fargo, a Bank of America, another bank, but it's like they all, what we see and what they're using, same thing essentially. And a lot of people are using their credit cards, and I don't know. It's kind of like it'll be interesting how the CBDC works, and the idea of us being tracked, because companies already are letting people know, hey, you have your Second Amendment rights, but don't think you can use your Discover card to go buy some ammunition,
I think you make a very poignant point, and what I hear there is consolidation. We are seeing the big banks start to buy up some of these smaller banks, and yes, at the direction of the Fed. Tomorrow is our Fed meeting. There is a prediction of 26% that the interest rates will remain unchanged, according to CME Fed Watch tool. So likely we will see a 25 to 50% interest rate hike tomorrow out of the Fed. We'll see how the markets react. But consolidation is what I see to be happening across the board, and it's being led by the banking system. S1 Dub said a lot of Repubs and Dems are bankrolled by the big banks and financial institutions. So this issue crosses party lines big time. Couldn't agree more, man. Some of the smartest people in the world are really in these comment sections. So shout out to S1 Dubs and Token Data. He says it's the Democrats play. We use the Second Amendment. I'm not living in China. None of us are, bro. We down here in the great state of Texas. So you know where to find us, man. Politicians have to be more concise and give clear examples of how Americans will be hurt by CBDCs. It needs to be understood by the common man and woman. And I think that is a beautiful point. I think when people understand that they have the ability to turn off or your, let's just say, debit card filled with 2,500 CBDCs, or they allocate how much, or those are your food stamps, or they prevent your mileage, how much gas you can buy in any given month. You're like, well, shit, I want to drive to Kansas City. They like, well, your allotment for this month is $100 worth of gas, and you trying to go 500 miles. That ain't gonna cut it, my boy. So there are many examples where Americans need to understand that spending habits, data will be tracked. It's not just surveillance, it's censorship as well. The ability to turn on and turn off your access to markets, your access to one another, your access to businesses, everything. They can control your life. So I think it's important that we do be aware of that. And last comment, Kerry Norris here says, FedNow services will lead to CBDC. They needed the big banks to test the system and will go live in July. And FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and his daddy's ready returns also helped precipitate. So this is a multifaceted attack on the American people's sovereignty.
And it's like over time, they're going to just incentivize you, or it's like the whole carrot and stick thing where it's like, oh, you can either use what you're using now, or you can use this, which will at a discount, you'll get more kickbacks. So you'll be like, man, I don't want to use this. I don't want to use this crap. But you're like, man, well, I do get a 25% discount every time I order, every time I go out to eat, or it does give me more money back, more cash back.
The fix is in.
And so it's like you hold out. You can hold out. Maybe you hold out for a year. Maybe hold out for 2 years. But like,
And then
the system is good. It's like, y'all know the YouTube Premium, or you can play YouTube without exit. You can have YouTube on and be scrolling through all your apps, and then one day they say they cut that off and be like, hey, you still want that? You want that premium service? You're gonna have to pay.
hey,
So
you want to cheat?
I'm not. The system's good. That just slowly
Reeling us in.
reeling you in. So it's like it ain't gonna be all at once, but it's gonna be hard. I'm not lying here. I'm not gonna say like, hey man, I ain't taking no CBDC. Like I ain't trying to say all that, but it's like,
Hey,
hopefully these cryptocurrencies give us an alternative. It's like we can use both at once. It's just a matter of building the economy and doing things peer to peer with these other cryptocurrencies, right? That allow you. But the idea of these different stable coins, the CBDC being similar, it's like, if mass adoption means the government is going to say, hey, we'll take taxes in this. So if the government says, hey, we'll take taxes in this, well, like,
hey, I'm gonna tax your CBDC transactions, and we know exactly every dollar that you spent. That's when Dubs makes a great point. Says, if I give you guys a super chat, do I have to capture that in my taxes? Would you guys have to capture it in your taxes? Every transaction being monitored. Gary Chizo says CBDC and universal income, hand in glove from the government. Don't forget to add them COVID shots either. Token data. Are there any cryptos using smart contracts that can replace government officials? Absolutely. I do know for a fact that we are trying to get our vehicle registration. So think of your local county clerk's office. Most of those transactions can actually be handled on chain and actually be verifiable. Has anybody looked at the tax assessor's books in their local county? Has anybody actually audited their district county clerk? You can't do it, just to let y'all know. So
I'm like, I don't even know if they're going to be using crypto. They're just going to use whatever AI, Bard, Microsoft, ChatGPT. Like, I don't even know if they're even gonna use like a blockchain for any of this stuff.
AI?
They're just gonna use the AI at this point. I forgot what you were saying, but it's like, man, between the CBDCs, I don't think we can't separate that. Also, if you think about the central bank digital currencies, it's not just digital dollars. I think the danger, and I forget who was saying in the chat, it's like they need to proclaim and say what are the dangers. The dangers are it tying into your biometrical data. So you remember, it's like,
yep.
And the infrastructure is slowly already set. It's like a lot of people do their thumbprint already, do their face scan. So if you just think about it of like, well, when you want to go to the IRS to file your taxes, you just do your face scan, and then they'll be able to sync into whatever your Apple Pay, whatever, and they'll be able to see everything you've done, and then tax you or not. And they may even reduce taxes. Who knows how they'll interplay this? But it's like you can't separate what just went down with the pandemic from what's going to happen with the CBDC. And we all know the people who had their little passport and their cards and everything, making sure that they were aligned. It's just a matter of turning all your medical data digital. So we all flying on the airport, flying, you do the clear the passage and all that stuff. So it's like the social credit system, CBDCs, all one and the same, but it's like it's going to be tied to your financial information is going to be tied directly to your biometric data markers. And the dangers of that are we witness it with you getting discriminated against because you don't want to take a corporation's, a criminal organization's products. That's the danger. The danger is from the people around us, whether it's your friends, your doctor, your lawyer, or whatever, being like, no, you got to take this because so and so said so on the TV.
Exactly. And I just want to make one quick point before we get into our next story here. If you'll scroll down to the output, let's talk about all the different things that CBDCs have the potential of affecting when we start talking about the surveillance and what that data mining is actually utilized for. how that turns into social credit scores. So we, of course, generate an algorithm that produces ratings that determine your eligibility for access to social services. Oh, you thought you were going to go to the hospital, but nah, you turned off. Oh, loan rates? Yeah, we're gonna have to charge you 40% for that mortgage versus 6%. You're not one of our favorite type of people. You don't spend enough CBDCs. Oh, you thought you had internet? Oh, that shit's cut off. Oh, you want a government job? No, sorry. You want access to planes and high-speed trains? Yeah, you can walk. You want school admission and scholarships? Yeah, we don't have schools for you. You want to travel abroad? Yeah, give me that passport. Access to luxury hotels? Nah, we got a hostel for you. Insurance premiums? Oh, them through the roof. You can't even get insurance.
Bruh. And think about it as like we're thinking about it from your just my dollars and my bank account, but it's more than that. It's like think about you having an app that can connect to everything. You can share your data based off of who you need to share your data with. Only share your doctors certain information when you go down, let's say to insurance. They look at your digital persona, and you should only share certain information that you need when you're going in, signing into any of these different places. So it's like they're the infrastructure that they're building to be able to do that is going to make it so convenient. And this is going to be outside of just your regular banking, how we do things now. But think of like the everything app, something like Elon's trying to make Twitter at. So I think of people will be enticed by the whole, my own wallet, where I can only share the information with who I need to share with at that time, given to me by X, Y, and Z companies. Oh, and it also just ties into, you can't separate money from your social credit system. And, I think a good name for cryptocurrency is social currency anyway, with how I see it. People talk about it and use it on social media. So
agreed. I'll make one last statement and then we jump. The commercial side of the credit system is very unfair for poor people because it's linked to consumption. If you consume a lot, it's easier to get a higher score. But if not, then it's more difficult to do so. The rewards are also not always useful, especially for people in rural areas. A lower deposit in a hotel and faster visa processing isn't meaningful for a farmer. What the system is basically doing is the quantification of social relations, exactly what you just said. If the system works according to the vision of the central government, then social mobility would become much harder. There's a certain level of dependency on those you are connected with, and if you have the right links to the right people, it would be easier to stay on top. But for those at the bottom, it would be more difficult to climb up. Banks consider personal credit to be more important than financial credit in loan considerations. It may help the poor to change their lives. However, if banks only focus on assets and consumption, it will end up harming social mobility. People might be able to buy credit points to increase their score. But again, that's only for people that can afford to do so. So if you can pull yourself up by your own bootstraps in the CBDC system, no sir, that is called pay to play, and it ain't you.
And these influencers, like, I don't know, I don't like people who are like, you need to be, everyone on social media and on the internet needs to be verified. It's going to start with, we're doing this to protect people against bots and making sure everyone's real. So everybody online needs to be verified and show your real identity. And it's going to be people like, a lot of these so-called, I guess, right-wingers like Jordan Peterson and some of these people who are like, I can't deal with trolls. I don't want to deal with these trolls, or it's going to come from all sides. So watch out for that. People be like, everyone online needs to have verification.
Hey, shout out to Carrie Norris. She says, Dram, Trinity app implemented in India, cell phone bank account, medical. All they need is to add the social aspect. 99% of their country is signed up. There's a lot of people to replace or replicate government functions. We probably need a decentralized DAO with anonymous creators like Bitcoin. Governments needs names and addresses to attack. Exactly. That was a point Eric Voorhees was making on Twitter today is that the government needs corporations. They need you to incorporate yourself to actually come at you. They need some kind of entity to pursue. And if you are anonymous or you are purely just code and technology, then yeah, you can attempt to restrict something that is free. But as Texas showed you in that resolution earlier in the episode, that's an inalienable right that cannot be infringed upon by any government entity, at least in the great state of Texas. What else you got, bro?
Shoot, I'm ready to get out of here soon.
All right.
Honestly, and go to bed. But let's see, we got Bitcoin stores. Let's hit on this real quick. This was an interesting one that you sent me. I want to get your opinion on this one. But a crypto wallet prototype discovered inside Microsoft Edge. Let's see here. This says, and this is by Jason Nelson. Shout out to you from Decrypt. So Microsoft may not be the first name to come to mind when it comes to blockchain. Still, the company has experimented with technology for many years. According to screenshots shared on Twitter by Albacore, a pseudonymous software researcher from Central Europe, Microsoft has added code that would integrate a non-custodial crypto wallet into the company's default Edge browser. Looks here. These are the screenshots here. It says, newest in the gauntlet of questionable upcoming Microsoft Edge features, a crypto wallet. Not really sure how to feel about this kind of thing being baked into the default browser. What are your thoughts? More screenshots of the UI in the next tweet.
I think it's a positive move in the right direction. I don't think many people actually utilize Microsoft's Edge browser as their default browser, but I could be wrong about that. However, I think I'll just take Microsoft spokesperson's word at Microsoft. We regularly test new features to explore new experiences for our customers. We look forward to learning and collecting feedback from customers, but have nothing further to share at this time. So I think they're trying to be prepared for the upcoming bull market in 2024, maybe 2025, and have something ready that they can push out relatively easy. Is it a game changer for cryptocurrency? Absolutely not. But it is a positive move in the right direction for crypto advocates and the space as a whole. So hell yeah, bring it on, Microsoft. We don't want that Bill Gates CBDC in our wallet though, so y'all can keep that if that's what you're trying to do. But shout out to everybody in the conversation today. I just wanted to quickly say it's been dope having you all. We really appreciate it. But go ahead, Asher.
No, I was just kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying. It's like, what does adoption of cryptocurrency look like? And they think about like, what does an actual, like we were just talking about the CBDC, not necessarily that these things are the same, but it's like, it is the Internet of Things, Web3, whatever, where that's moving towards is the browser, everything being in the browser. So it's going to be a matter of time before and we're moving towards wallets. And the idea of wallets, they may look a little bit different from what we're used to from the MetaMask and that experience. But I think that is a common theme we're going to see here. So it's like, yeah, the browser is going to be a big function, the web browser, things being right directly in there, your wallet that you have connecting to all these different things. So that's just going to be the innovation that these companies are investing in, are going to take on. And then if people want and talk about that mass adoption, that's how it happens, is when everyday uses, Chrome's going to come out with their own wallet, different things like that. And then, can't separate it also from the moves that are happening with artificial intelligence and the exponential explosion that is happening with society. And that's also going to bring in a whole bunch of other things. Not necessarily good. So it could be the end of the world.
I don't think it's the end of the world. I'm excited to see where
and the civilization, let's say.
I'm on the positive, optimistic side of things. My glass still half full. I guess that's because I'm a Hexagon, 2 years still waiting on the pulse chain.
Hey,
I gotta have.
we need wait. Before we didn't even get to that. We said we did tease. We said we were going to talk about that. But so before we get out of here, I want to say, like, I mean, all we can do is just wait on the pulse chain. Last thing on artificial intelligence. It's like the danger there is just outsourcing all your brain power to the computer. That seems just like the final step. Let me know. We can talk about that. The pulse chain. We're waiting on it. I think these updates that Richard's talking about are just fluff. Nothing really there. Not that I've been paying attention, but I'm just like, bro.
Nah. Let me tell the whole story, man. So before we get out of here, we want to jump into Richard Hart's latest tweets on the pulse chain development. And I think it's important. Oh yeah, those comments.
Come out in the chat.
Yeah. So
hey,
I just think it's important that we give Richard his due diligence, as I was on the Gentleman of Crypto show for F Bitcoin Friday this past Friday, and was mentioning a few of these updates, but I actually want to give Richard his due diligence and show exactly what he's recently tweeted over the last few hours. So I'd say 24 to 48, 72 hours. So that's the performance of Hex in 2023. As you can see, up and to the right, up almost 300 to 400%. He's also talking about Ron DeSantis' move to prohibit the use of CBDCs, which we've already talked about throughout the show, threatening personal privacy and financial tech innovation. There's also some more tweets from Tom Emmer, which we've also talked about. But here is where we started getting into the pulse chain. Have you chosen which computer you're going to test being a pulse chain validator on? Liked almost 3,000 likes. And then 15 hours ago, a tweet about the landscape candles. If you aren't a Hexagon, the last time the candles were burnt were at 10 cents. And the next time the candles will be burned again will be when Hex reaches $1. And so when that time comes, there should be a live stream. More stuff about Trump, just a funny video, DNA analysis, bank failure, blah, 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 blah. But here we go. So when pulsechain.com testnet version 3 launches, that will also count as your warning that mainnet could launch at any time. I would really love to see everyone enjoying their free coins as soon as possible. Fingers crossed. A big announcement which was liked over 7,000 times. That when testnet version 3 launches, hey, mainnet could come at any time after that. But let's go a bit further down so that we can see what has been actually happening. So Pulse Chain and Pulse X testnet version 3 is coming along great. The automated market maker bot has finished running. Block Explorer indexers, so think Etherscan, are feeding off the Airgun archive nodes, so able to actually retrieve previous block data and report back. Lighthouse, Prism, and Geth, Go ETH, are working fine too. Now reviewing the new validator onboarding process. So, big news. Automated market maker bot, done. Block Explorer indexers are feeding off the Airgun archive nodes. Lighthouse, Prism, and Geth are working fine too. So, rapid development on the Pulse chain and Pulse X. So, this is directly from Richard on his Twitter publicly. Ethereum versus Bitcoin supply after the switch to proof of stake. Now imagine an ETH fork, also known as Pulse Chain, that has 25% more burn and 17% faster blocks. So let Richard's tweets speak for themselves. Not here to opine on when the Pulse Chain will eventually be released. But I think the recent price action that we've seen in the last 24 hours Hex has largely been a result of the positive news from Pulse Change. So if you did sacrifice, just hold on. We're coming home. We're going home. Just hold on. We're going home. But nah, man. Hey, this was a great show, Asherelle. I know we got to get into bed at some point tonight. But shout out to all the crypto rascals, crypto warriors out there. We appreciate y'all for locking in with us tonight on Crypto and Down. We hadn't been streaming in right at about a month, but the markets are moving. We have, at least I have, lots of optimism about things to come in the future. We got positive news from the government for once. We are starting to see positive news from Richard Hart and the Pulse Chain developers. So just hold on. We're going home. Asherelle, that's all I got, man.
Hey, shout out to Kamala. Appreciate you stopping by, checking out our little show we got going on. Hope your knees are okay over there in the White House. Anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Hey,
yeah, man.
That's all I got for the people tonight. As we always try to say, hug somebody, tell somebody you love them. Other than that, peace.
To keep their money, and I'm illustrating that this thing that I just described with this FTC and how it connects to the Democrats and how all of this is really under the World Economic Forum. All of this is the same scam. It's the same scam. It's not different scams. It's one scam. The only reason why this scam could work and why it works so well with the patsy that they use is because he's from this era. Because it's only in this era, right? Only this era right now is the most time you have seen, forget my language, bitch ass niggas win. This is the first era.
I love that language.
In which weaker individuals are positioned as stronger. And stronger individuals are positioned as weak. This is the first era.
Come on.
History where squares, that's why you don't look down on a baby for crawling. You hope that the baby will eventually walk. You see what I'm saying? These niggas got the whole situation functioning now, where all of the people who were given, participation trophies and this type of shit that never had to work in a meritocracy. These are the people that they're electing. These are the people that they're putting in entertainment to write your stories. These are the people who resent the very fact that they came from success.
Wow.
And now want to act like now that they're somehow more developed than you.